If
Yeah.
they feel the tiniest bit awkward, it
Yeah.
comes across tenfold in the video. Like
Oh, that's
I
true
will always
too.
say to them, like, what's up? Like
Yeah.
you seem something's off because you
Wow.
seem a bit awkward. So let's move positions. Like there's no point filming something on
Yeah.
a beautiful blue chair
Yeah.
if blue chair is uncomfortable. Like let's move.
Hey guys, Jeremy here, Digital Growth Marketing. Thanks for coming back to check out another episode. Today's episode is talking about social media, organic social media marketing on the ground. I got to speak to a specialist named Jenna. I've known Jenna for 3 years now. We connected through our BX circles, I think, when we're doing networking. She's full of energy. She's full of positivity, which is I can, learn a lot from. And she has a lot of insights into what's currently working on social media on the ground, how she's doing things differently. And she's very generous with her information, more than happy for people to take and run with it, do it themselves, or if they don't want to do it, you can go hire her. I do wish that me and her can work together on something in the future. Yeah, just give it a listen if you're a small business, whether you're doing DIY social media or you are looking to hire someone to do social media, or you've hired someone to do social media and you're not sure if they're doing a good job or not, this episode is going to answer a lot of those questions. All right, thanks. See ya. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the show. Today I'm with Jenna Oberstein. Jenna is the founder of ATAG Communication, which has been around for 5 years. I've known Jenna for about maybe 2 to 3 years. We were introduced to each other during our networking days. You probably still do it a lot as well. I still do it. But then recently I caught up with her on LinkedIn. Jenna is a social media agency slash marketer. And now I'm looking at websites more around, it's also around branding and stuff now, right, Jenna?
Yeah, look, I've always done like the full brand to strategy to account management.
Yeah, amazing. Well, first of all, thanks for coming on the show. Really want to talk to someone like you on the ground, because I think that anybody who can survive and thrive in this environment, especially with social media management, has a lot of resistance, and like you're able to weave through a lot of changes in the area. Yeah. So
Yeah,
before
I
going,
always say it changes every day, never mind every week or never mind
yeah,
every month.
yeah, 100%. So before getting to that, let's talk about your maybe build up a bit about your history, how you got into the game, and how are you so determined to make this work, and how you've made it work. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So my story is a bit different to the normal, I feel. I was always found myself in marketing things. In high school, I ran a campaign. Then after school, I found myself any opportunity that I could to be involved in the social media or marketing or campaigns, I would be. Like I just found it
Yeah.
quite something I was always drawn to. Quite amazing how you can communicate something to a wide audience. So I went into a degree in communications, digital and social media. While I was doing that, I got my first freelance role in my second year of uni.
Yeah.
And from there, a year later, I sort of started doing social media marketing, figuring it out as I went, and built up my clients just from that one to the point where I was still studying full time. So I could
Yeah.
either decide to start saying no to clients and like
Mm-hmm.
tone it down, or
Mm-hmm.
completely scale it up, hire someone so that I had more time and more resources. And that's what I did. So I started the business completely during university. All my uni friends knew that sitting in lectures, I was working on
Wow.
ATAG.
Yeah.
They all knew about ATAG and they would ask me about it,
Yeah.
which was lots of fun. I felt like I had a whole support team with
You went
me.
to UTS, right?
Yeah, I was at
UTS.
UTS.
Yeah. So these roles, like, I actually, going off the side of the road a bit, I actually want to know, like, how these degrees have
Mm,
changed so much. Like, you will change so much, but how has it changed, right? Even at that time, I think you started to 2020-ish, 2020.
yes,
Yeah. Okay.
yes,
Right in the middle of COVID.
yes. It was
That's
actually
crazy.
the
Yeah.
beginning. So
The
I
beginning
went
of
to
COVID. Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
I think I went to one in-person class or one
Oh, wow.
in-person lecture.
Oh, you're one of
And
those
then
kids.
and
Yeah.
then everything went online
Yeah.
until like towards the end of my degree. The end of the degree was completely in person, but
Yeah.
the first 2 years when I started my business
Yeah.
and I started doing that freelancing,
Yeah.
I was not in uni. Like I
Uh,
wasn't at uni, I was at home. It was weird. It was a really weird time. I remember
yeah,
I
yeah,
went to, so actually my year group, we went to like one, some people had more than one, but I had
yeah,
one in-person class,
yeah,
in-person lecture, and then COVID hit.
yeah,
We were completely online, and for the first 2 years, I was basically completely online. I had some holiday sessions where you'd go, the
yeah.
whole cohort would swap every day so that you wouldn't have too many people in the same
Oh,
room. It was
wow.
just a crazy
Okay.
time.
No, it was a crazy time. That time, I started my business around that time as well.
Mhm.
2019, just before, well, a few months before
Before,
COVID
yeah.
hit. Yeah. And then e-commerce was taking off
Hmm.
at that time. I don't know if you did e-commerce, you couldn't step wrong, Service business is a very weird space at the time. What kind of business were we working with at the time that ended up propelling you going forward?
Well, my first client was actually a software company.
Oh, wow,
And if
nice.
anyone knows me, I am not a software girl. Like
Yeah,
I don't understand the back end. And that
yeah,
was something I learned from the get-go, which I carry on into today,
mm,
is that working with different clients, firstly, as the communicator for the client,
yeah,
I have to completely understand where they are, who
absolutely.
they are, what they do.
Mm,
And I had to learn so much. So I wasn't working with like e-commerce brands. I was working with
yeah.
service-based businesses and learning
So
along the
you
way.
had to, I mean, even from when I first met you, right? I knew you were a hustler. I knew
Mhm.
100%. I knew that like this girl, like I keep that girl, like, I don't know how old you are, whatever. So please don't take it to some disrespect because I was like, man, she's going to be something. Do you know what I mean? I just knew.
Thank you.
How'd you
I
get
think that,
ATAG? Sorry.
yeah,
Yeah. Go.
sorry. I think that just everyone I meet at
Yeah.
networking, the nature of it and the nature of the people who can be at the sorts of networking events I'm at, which are in the middle
Mm,
of the day,
yeah.
means that not having that normal 9 to 5
Yeah.
job
Yeah.
does just, I mean, you do have to sort of step out of the norm. And
Yeah.
everyone I meet is kind of like hustling in their own way, which is
Oh,
why
yeah.
it's so nice to have that like networking community.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, just going back, because you're talking about communication, you must
Hmm.
have came up with a name somehow. There must be a
Hmm.
story behind it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. So when I was coming up with the name, I thought about using my name and something, and then
yeah,
I felt weird about that.
yeah,
Um, I had a lot of like imposter syndrome when I first started out.
yeah, yeah.
So I think that was also part of not putting too much of myself in the business.
Hmm.
So I was trying to think how to make it something a little bit more meaningful, a little bit more like what do I want to achieve when
Yeah,
I'm doing social media marketing?
yeah,
So I came up with this whole story and I have no idea. I don't remember how I came up with it, but this is the story.
yeah,
So when you walk into a boutique store
yeah,
and you see a jacket that you really love,
yeah.
first thing you do is you walk up to it, you feel it, you look at it, and then you look at the tag because you
Mm,
want to know what's the story behind that jacket.
yeah,
What's the washing advice? What's the materials? What's the size? What's the price? Can you imagine investing in that jacket and taking it home? So
yeah,
then I was working with the word tag a lot and how on social media, your handle is your tag as well. So when you
yeah,
tag someone, you're tagging their page. And the whole concept of, and I really do this and believe in this with my clients, that your social media profile should replicate your story. It should show
yeah,
your story as a brand. And basically, every single company
hmm,
is their own story, their own book.
yeah,
And when you tag someone on social media, you go at, and then you write
yeah,
their so I was just playing around with things. Then I put the at symbol in front of tag,
yeah.
and then a tag was born.
Oh, that's how it was. That's how you became. Oh, see, what a story. So that is a good story.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
no,
not
that's
a
cool.
short
Yeah,
one. It's a bit
yeah.
of a complicated
That's
level
right.
story, but that was like my journey I took over a few days of
Yeah.
building.
But it's real, but it's a real story. So
Yes.
that's important. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's actual real story.
Yeah.
No, it's good. I think that when we were talking about doing a recording episode together, we're talking about niches that you go into and that kind of thing. And one of the things that I would just come out and say, I think your style and personality wise is like the opposite of what I do.
Hmm.
Right. Like you go in office, you have a lot of fun with people, you kind of like more vibrant. Like fun is the least priority on my thing. Do you know what I mean? Because I will
Yeah.
tell you, in terms of me, my specialty in ads, right? We don't really have to understand the business all that much.
Mm.
Anyone who's listening, I'm telling you, we don't. We have
Yeah.
to understand numbers behind the business because ads is a lot about numbers, about how much you're paying for a click, how much can you afford, and all that. So that lane I'm comfortable in, right?
Yes.
But going around talking about like what's your brand story, do you know what I mean? Like listening to their thing. All I'm thinking about is like
No.
I'm trying to pick out like nuggets from it
Mm.
where I go, oh, so you're focusing on this product or that product. I'm
Mhm.
not actually listening for the story.
Yeah,
Do you know
so
what I
a
mean?
big
Yeah.
part of it for me also is yes, as I've said, the story and
Yeah.
the meaning, and there's a bit of depth
Yeah.
behind each company. Like that's so important to me. But also in those content days,
Mm,
one of my biggest goals in the work I do, not only working with my clients, but speaking to people and doing these sorts of podcasts,
yeah.
is to advocate how important having control over your own communication is, and that it's not scary, and that it's not daunting, and that it can be really fun. And there is something really powerful and empowering about controlling how your company is communicated. So that's actually why I really find those content days with my clients
Mm,
so important, that
yeah.
having that connection with them, having a lot of fun doing it, like
Yeah.
seeing that this is not scary, this is not daunting, filming is fun.
Yeah.
And and also reminding my clients that
Yeah.
everything that we're talking about, everything that we're filming, everything that they're
Yeah.
speaking on camera about is about their own company.
Yeah.
So they are the biggest expert about it, because no one else knows what they do better
Yeah.
than themselves.
Big time. I mean, I'm thinking like even when like just you are talking about this now and your energy, like there's something I can learn from. Does that make sense? Like I'm like what they call a matcher. So I match the energy level. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm not a
Yeah.
giver, I gotta take. I'm a matcher. So
Mm.
I'm matching. So if somebody comes in not wanting to do the content, I say, well, let's not do the content then. Do you know what I
Right,
mean? Like
right. Yes.
so, whereas you can kind of elevate their
Hmm.
thing. Do you know what I mean? Which is important. So
Yeah.
then we start talking about niching down, and nowadays 5 years into the game, you can really pick and choose your clients, not
Hmm.
just in a bad way, but also like you pick choose your deals on the ones that you can really gel with. The
Hmm.
people, the age group,
100%.
the kind of businesses.
Hmm.
So one of the things I want to get you to talk about is your content days, right?
Yeah.
Because you do social media. A lot of people do social media. They don't have a camera.
Hmm.
They don't film. They do some AI scripts for people, and
Yeah.
go, you go off and film yourself and we edit for you. And then
Yeah.
they outsource the editing and it just becomes rubbish. Everything becomes rubbish, right? That's the typical, and they schedule a post and that's social media, which is
Hmm.
not really social media, right?
Yeah. Look,
So what's your
honestly, I find
difference?
that
Yeah.
crazy that people
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
My hat goes off to them. But when I have ever gotten content from a client and
Mm,
relied on that as like as our only content,
yeah.
it just doesn't hold up to the standard that I know that my team will film something at. And then if the content doesn't perform, the blame goes on the social media
For
team.
sure.
So I want to make sure that we are at every touch point, making sure that the content we're creating, we are
Hmm.
filming, we are responsible for, and then I can assure that it looks really good.
Yeah.
Um, but also, as I said, like I find those content days and seeing my clients in person, as you said, I walk in with energy, I
Yes.
lift them up, make them feel really good and confident.
Mm,
And then it's looked back on as such a successful, great day. Like it's actually such an important part of the process. And then they see that video out there on social media.
mm.
And by the time the second shoot comes around, the level of confidence already is crazy. Like to see
Yeah.
the difference, it that's all part of the journey that we take our clients on as well.
Do you know that what you just all the stuff that you said there and all about like coming in and taking them on that journey and then the stuff comes out, right? And then the stuff that comes out is a story, is how they wanted to see themselves, which is very
Exactly.
important. That's your specialty. I'm telling you, I talk to a lot of social media people. Right.
Yeah.
Social media, there's barrier entry is low. Everyone's trying to do some social media. People do themselves. People
Mhm.
outsource parts of it, blah, blah, right? I'm telling you, Jenna, that's
Thank
your
you.
differentiator.
I
Like,
also,
yeah.
my big thing that
Yeah.
I also mentioned is no scripts. I don't want to see
Oh, no
scripts on
scripts.
the
I like
content
that.
day at
Yeah.
all. And I find when we get in a really comfortable zone and we're
Yeah.
all like flowing, the
Yeah.
conversation will flow, and the ums
100%.
and the ahs and the mess ups, we can edit that out in
Mm.
editing. So I'd
Yeah.
rather they mumble and mess up 100 times, but we get
Yeah.
something really organic and natural rather
Wow.
than too scripted.
Wow. That's powerful. So we have to talk about the flip side as well, because it's not all
Mhm.
glamour and gloss in social media or
Oh yeah.
advertising. Yeah. Like, what if you have like just it's my podcast. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. What if you get people like just overweight? They're not good on camera. They don't look the part, but they want to do social media. Do you know what I mean? Like, j-
Mhm.
and then it doesn't matter who's going in. You just that's not working. Like, what do you do? How do you rescue
So I
that?
think that, and that's why I talk about how I set the tone on the content day
Yeah,
and that there's no scripts and that there's this organic, loud energy going on.
yeah,
I think that people respect people who
mm,
know what they're talking about, and people respect people who are passionate, and people respect people who can share value, you
yeah,
know? And
yeah.
that's where the true value and the true, um, meaning comes
Takeaways.
from.
Yeah,
Yeah, it comes
yeah,
from someone who is up there, who is confident enough to share, who is
mm.
brave enough to share. I don't actually think, and a lot of people ask me this question, and a lot of people ask me like, I don't know if I want someone younger to be on my
Yeah,
videos. Will you be in
yeah.
them? No, people want to hear from the true person. We're
Wow,
real
that's
people.
powerful.
Like, let's not pretend that everyone is a cookie
Yeah,
cutter.
yeah. Got
So
you.
inauthentic.
Got you. Okay. Because I started creating this pod stuff maybe about, I don't know how when I started, about maybe 3, 4 months ago. Right. I mean, when I first started, it was more awkward. Like, I'm a shit talker for life. Do you know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
45. I've been talking shit all my life. But even in front of the camera, like, I feel awkward. It was weird. And I got, because I'm not short of resources. So I bought one of those script readers that scrolls up. I
Hmm.
get, man, what is this shit? It like makes me look stupid anyway. So like, I just ditched it. I go, like, that was like $300. I just ditched it. I said, man, this is a waste of time. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to do what I do,
It
you
comes
know,
across so much more naturally when you
much
are
different.
just talking naturally.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, for sure.
when everyone, I always say, if anyone feels a tiny bit awkward, like if you feel like the position, I've put them in on a certain couch, or if I
Yeah.
told them to stand and they feel awkward, or if
Yeah.
they feel the tiniest bit awkward, it
Yeah.
comes across tenfold in the video. Like
Oh, that's
I
true
will always
too.
say to them, like, what's up? Like
Yeah.
you see something's off because you
Wow.
seem a bit awkward, so let's move positions. Like there's no point filming something on
Yeah.
a beautiful blue chair
Yeah.
if blue chair is uncomfortable. Like, let's move. So
Got it. Got it.
even with you, like if you felt a
Yeah.
little bit like you
Yeah.
couldn't, whatever it is with any equipment, like it's not
Yeah.
worth using anything if it's going to make you feel a bit
Well,
awkward.
that's great tips for anyone who's doing it. I mean, not everybody, I don't know how many listeners I have, probably not a lot, but whoever is listening, if they're listening, they're like, well, I can't afford a social media manager anyway, so I'm going to DIY it. So what's your tip to them? Just chill, do what, like talk about the expertise, talk about the things they're passionate about. Don't try to copy someone else. Like,
Yes, I would say practically in terms of like actually keeping at it and
yeah,
really like actionable
yeah,
tips to do.
yeah.
The biggest thing with social media is being consistent. You actually don't need to go viral
Mm,
to really get impact. You have to be consistent. And then, like, I see it with my own social media page that when I'm
yeah,
consistently posting, we connected because you saw my posts coming up
100%.
for you.
Yeah.
So I would say my biggest tip is to rely on a content calendar. So at the
Mm,
beginning of every month or the middle of the month prior,
yeah.
look through number one, some national holidays and national days.
Mm.
See what's coming up. If you, for example, in August, I think it's on the 19th, is National Photography Day. So if
Wow,
anyone
wow.
works in marketing, if anyone works in social
Yeah,
media, that's something that you can make a post about.
yeah,
The second thing to do is look at your own personal calendar. Are you going to any events? Do you have
yeah,
a team training day? Do you have,
yeah,
things coming up in your work calendar that can really be valuable on social media?
yeah,
And then you build this calendar and suddenly you have something to stick to. It makes it so much easier. When those events happen, you've already thought prior, I need a photo from that.
yeah.
So you go on,
Got
you
you.
think about it, you take a photo, and then jump into ChatGPT, train your,
Mm,
your AI really well, train it so that it knows how to speak like you, that it's authentically
yeah.
sharing value from what your expertise is. And there you go, you have a really strong post
You
already.
have, yeah, I think you have a combination of things. You know, these days with AI and everything, I think that the value, like what I do, right, it's not consultancy, it's the grind,
Mm,
the
mm,
daily grind that goes in monitoring the accounts, changing bids, changing, like seeing what the competitors doing, responding. Do you know
mm,
what I mean? It's not the knowledge anymore. Knowledge
mhm.
is easy now. Like, do you feel the same way in your game?
I feel like it's understanding how to apply knowledge and also
Yeah,
sifting through the knowledge because there is so much out there. Everything
yeah,
is accessible.
yeah,
And if you sit and you want to understand every single little piece of knowledge, you're not going to get anywhere. So it's knowing when to just do things.
yeah.
It's knowing how to apply knowledge and it's knowing which pieces of information are actually going to be relevant to you and what you just have to like sometimes put the blinkers on.
Yeah, for sure. So on the same question, just say a small business, right? They're saying, look, I'm going to pay $1,000 a month or whatever for social media management or for ads management or whatever it is, right? I feel like that $1,000 is not just for advice. It's also for the clicking of the buttons, the implementation, the reporting and everything after. Like, do you feel the
Absolutely.
same way about that? Because there is a grind part of social media, which is the
Yeah.
posting, is the captioning, is removing the URL so that it's not in Instagram, but it's in Facebook because it's clickable.
Mhm.
Things like that. You know what I mean? Setting up the link tree and all that. That's grind to me. And then there's
Yes.
the fun bit. Yeah. So you go. Yeah.
No, yes, of course. Like there is, it depends what sort of agency you're working with. A lot just
Mm.
do one part of it and the other. Like,
Yeah.
as I said before, I believe that we have to be involved in all of it,
We have
everything
to. Do
organic.
you do all of it? Like,
So,
not you personally, but your agency cover the whole encompassing parts of social media, would you say?
yes, so we only do organic. So we don't do
Yeah.
any ads, we don't do
Yeah.
anything paid or sponsored,
Yeah.
but everything organic we do. So, and I
Right
find that
from
really
beginning.
important because a lot of my clients come to me and they say, we
Yeah.
see that this is so important. We don't have time to be involved in it. Like we actually just,
Yes.
this is something I find I always say in business, you have to choose what you're investing your money in and what
Yeah.
you're investing your time in.
Yeah.
If you can't invest your time in something, you have to invest your money in it and
Oh,
in
love it.
someone that can do it better. And like I
Yeah.
always say, I pay an amazing accountant because I cannot invest
Yeah.
my time in doing all my accounting. It will just take me way longer
Yeah.
than the money that it's worth. And that's what it's about.
Yeah, for sure. I had someone tell me the same thing. He said, if you're going to sleep thinking about your accountant, then you probably don't have a good accountant. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're thinking about what he's like, did I get all my maximum savings? You probably didn't get a good accountant. And if people going to sleep after hiring you, thinking about social media, then they made the wrong choice. Or what a social media manager, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, I
yeah.
could have better, are they if they're chat GPT themselves, say, was this the best they can do? They probably didn't hire the right person. That's what I think. Yeah.
100%. And there's so many amazing professionals out there. There's
Yeah.
so many great businesses out there. Like there's enough work for everyone to go around. So I
For sure.
also really believe that not every client is right for every professional and every business.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like if you're talking about like fit and like how clients and agency gels, I mean, if somebody like your style, if somebody didn't respect what you're doing and treated you more like someone like you, treated you more like underling, that would
Mm,
not be a good relationship, man.
mm,
Like, I can just
mm,
look at you, just talking
absolutely.
to you now. I just know, like, you're not going to be
Mm,
spoken to that way. Do you know what I mean? Like,
mm,
you value yourself and you value your own knowledge a lot. So I think that's
yeah.
something, yeah. In terms of one of the things that I will never be able to do properly, which is probably food and fashion. You were talking about food and fashion. I would like
Yeah.
looking at it. I like thinking, you know what? When I first started, I did have fashion businesses,
Hmm.
right? But my issue wasn't that I didn't understand it. Maybe that's part issue, but my issue was also when it comes to ads, they have to replenish their creatives a lot quicker in
Right.
e-commerce.
Right.
Right. So it's not about going there, shooting the expertise. It's about getting new modeling shoots and all that. And I don't think I was hip to, I wasn't connected in the industry.
Yeah. Fair
I couldn't
enough. Look,
speak their language. Yeah. So is your thing food and fashion? That's probably fun for you, but like, yeah, tell us more about that. Yeah.
yeah, look, and as I said to you before, like it's
Mm.
something that if I talk about something that's like just really fun,
Yeah.
I find them really fun. It's so easy to have fun with my clients when
Yeah.
I'm doing food, when I'm doing fashion. I recently did a burger shoot collabing
Oh,
with
yeah.
another agency and it was just
Nice.
fun. Like
Yeah.
I know how to do it. I know how to make it look good,
Yeah.
which is great.
Yeah.
But it's not actually the main clients I'm working on right now.
Okay. Yeah. Tell
It's
us more about
something
that.
that like is a
Yeah.
joy side of things.
Yeah.
But my more consistent ongoing clients at the moment, I'm doing a lot of office culture and offices that it doesn't really matter what they work in, but they have energy and they have character to them and
Yeah.
they're busy and they're active and there's something to share. And that's what a lot of my clients are. It's teams that are really involved and they enjoy working where they work and you can really tell that. And it's an office that is
Mm.
keen to get amongst the different videos and that's
Interesting. Yeah.
really, I think, what people want to see behind the scenes. What is it like to work with this company and what is it like to work at this company?
Yeah.
In
Cool.
that at the moment.
Yeah, that's amazing because I can just imagine it because I can imagine what it's not a nightmare for me, but what like how awkward I would be in those situations and how comfortable you are. Yeah, cool. So office culture, people they're being active. You want to
Hmm.
capture the essence of it and get more. like get that out onto the social media. Because another thing I want to say as well for anyone who's listening is that social media, like you might not get the likes and follows or whatever, but people definitely check you out before they
Mhm.
work with you. 100%.
Exactly. I say a big part of it is validating.
Yeah.
So people just need to see you're not a bot, you're a real person, you're not a scam.
Yeah.
And it's really validating. And the hardest thing is you can't tell how many people check you
Mm.
out without following, without touching your page.
Yeah.
Sometimes you actually don't know how it has impacted your reputation.
Yeah. Big time. I think so. I think when I go work in a company or whatever, I want to see if they've had a consistent team. That
Hmm.
team, if that guy was around, 52 weeks ago, how it's 53 weeks, 54, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I want to see when they posted. I want to see, I want to read between the lines of it as
Hmm.
well. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, okay. So if we go back down to some tactical tactics, right? Like in terms of tools, in terms of posting the buckets of content, like buckets as in we're going to do a day of, office culture, but then we're going to do 2, 3 tips and listicles they call it, whatever, and then we're going to do one of those what's currently trending or whatever, like
Hmm.
put them in levels like S grade, A grade, B grade, that those things. Like, do you suggest it to people? Do you show people examples? Yeah,
Yeah.
tell us more. Yeah,
I call them content segments, and I
segments. All
just
right.
take it from like radio show and podcast segments
Yeah.
because I find it like for me, it makes so much sense that if there's a segment on a podcast that they
Mm.
do a certain thing each week, they come back to it and the audience expects it. And
Yeah.
when you're listening to a podcast, you know exactly what they're talking about when they bring up that segment again.
Yeah.
So I work in segments, and when I do a strategy for a client, I provide about 5 segments. So it's just categories of content that we're going to post,
Mm.
and I 100% stick to them. I find it so much easier in building a content calendar when
Yeah.
you're not just like reaching into the dark, but
Yes.
you're basing it off categories and some sort of framing, which I think really helps.
So okay, so that's how you call it, the categories. Okay, cool. All right,
Mm.
nice. So I think we covered a lot. Let me just look at my notes. One of the things that we touched on but we didn't fully cover is how quickly AI has taken over,
Yeah.
right? In terms of like 2 years ago, I remember sitting there thinking, I don't know how much you think about this. I was thinking, oh my gosh, they finally got SEO. Like SEO is going to be really dead this time because
Mm.
everything, you know what I mean? Like so much quicker now, so much stuff. And I don't think it's actually dead. I think it's people's got busier in SEO. I don't do SEO, but I think people's got busier because of the mediocrity, and now they have to really stand out
Hmm.
because all of that stuff, right? And then I think, well, because I can't write to save my life, I can't copyright, I can't write a caption, I can't do any of that, right? So you see
Hmm.
my social media, it's not that good. So AI helps a lot with captioning, right? Writing captions and that kind of thing. And that was a skill. Like, what do you see? How has it affected your business and how have you evolved?
I think that with AI, it is an unbelievable tool
Yeah.
that you have to learn how to use, and you've got to implement it in as many parts of your business as possible. And that's one part of it.
Mm,
But there is so many areas that we've implemented automations and AI.
mm,
And people are scared about it taking jobs and scared of it. And that's just a really naive approach because ultimately it's going to make what you do better if you use it correctly and if you learn how to use it. It's like I always say this analogy, like a lawnmower. If
mm.
I was given, oh, sorry, not a lawn, a jackhammer, a lawnmower,
Okay, yeah.
a jackhammer. If
Yeah,
I was given
sure.
a jackhammer and told go wild,
Yeah,
yes, it could be quite dangerous and it could not turn out so well. But if I was given all the safety instructions,
yeah,
sent on a course, and then given a helmet and the proper equipment, and then said go for it with a jackhammer, something really
yeah.
powerful can come out of that. And I think that is the exact same with AI. And that's also the exact same with social media. They both have dangers. There's a lot of technology, there's
Mm,
dangers to it. But if you know what you're doing and if you use it and if you're using it to progress and to help your work and to be more efficient, then
yeah.
something really powerful can come from it.
Okay, cool. All right. So I don't sense any like resentment or fear when it comes to your game. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel like, you think it's going to threaten you in some time. I think it looks like you think it's going to really help you propel your
It
business
already is.
forward. Yeah,
It already is
must be.
helping me
Yeah,
tons. Like,
yeah,
and it's helping businesses. If there are businesses that can't afford social
mm,
media management, then yes, use
do it.
AI. Like that's not the right client for me. So use
Yeah, got
it.
you.
And
Yeah,
I don't think that
yeah,
anything can interfere with human interacting with human
yeah.
using technology to help them. Like, I think that's where
Yeah,
the
I admire your confidence. I wish I had your confidence and your charisma when I go into those offices. Amazing. So who is your ideal client now? I mean, do you have capacity to take on any more? And who's your ideal client at the moment?
Yes, we are quite busy,
Yeah,
but depending on the right client, we could take on
yeah,
more. At the moment, something else I'm doing is a workshop that's coming up. I don't know when this is being posted, but I'm
mm,
doing a workshop next week on branding and a lot of speaking things, which is really exciting. Anyone can find on my social media in
yeah,
terms of clients that we like to work with. Um, as I said, I love food and fashion. I find it really fun.
yeah,
Um, but also those offices that have some energy to them.
yeah,
If you are a small to medium business, you've got a small team, small to medium team,
mm,
you have budget for marketing because if you want to go into organic social media, you
yeah.
need a budget. It's
Need
not going to
budget.
be quick transactional results.
Yeah,
Um, then reach out and maybe it'll be right for you. If you feel like you want to have those fun content days,
yeah.
in terms of niche and industry, we
Mm.
are quite broad for the right energy and the right character of a company.
Yeah, so good. I do want to touch on the type of industries like if you're talking about, we were talking about like nail salons and pedicures and gyms and all that, right?
Hmm.
You would think that they are like fully, with us and with the content and all that, but not all of them are. Not all of them can afford it either.
Yeah,
Oh,
100%.
yeah,
Definitely. Like I haven't actually worked in that sort of those
I
industries
have.
before,
Yeah.
but yeah, definitely not. And I think also it's like every single business within every industry is different and has different needs.
Yeah, have different like they have different biases as well on how
Hmm.
much they think something's worth to them. Do you know what I mean? Like they're like, oh, I'm paying this, but it's going to take me 20 clients just to, make up for the cost. That's how you're going to give me 20 clients. And that's just a bad attitude. That's the wrong conversations to have, I think. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's something I always find fascinating when I came into the game. It's like the industry that I really thought I wanted to work with, they either have no money or they're not the right people. Like they just don't gel with you.
Yeah.
And the weird ones would be like, oh, this you can make money from here. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
So that's something I never knew. But yeah, it was good to touch on that as well. And I don't know when this is coming up. So my podcast manager said at the moment it's early August, probably like 2 weeks, I think. I'm putting
Okay.
up quite a bit. But I know that with your training, it's not just going to be one off. I know that I've seen your clips. I know you're talented. I know you're going to keep at it. I know you're going to keep be on the networking circuit, and I hope that we can stay connected that way as well.
Absolutely. And I would love to connect with anyone listening as well. I love grabbing coffees and meeting and like we had a great chat last week and just catching up
Yeah.
and hearing where people are and what they're doing at their business as well.
Yep, done. All right, cool. Thanks, Jenna. Appreciate it. Hey, what's up? Jeremy Yang, the online ads guy here, owner of Digital Glass Marketing. If you found whatever you're watching helpful, you found it interesting, like, subscribe, comment, suggest other topics you think we should cover here. We've aimed to release weekly episodes, helping SMEs with marketing, advertising, talking to professionals about growth, processes, all that good stuff. All right, see you on the next one.